the Royal Flush Gang. This is apparently this first appearance of this particular ace quote from somebody in the Marvel offices about, "Hi, this is Glenn Simpson's Comics, and I'm showing off my 40-year comic book collection one box at a time. Today we're looking at box number 90 with a bunch of JLA, some Joker, some Jonah, and finishing up with some Jonni. So I'm so glad you're here. Hey, let's get going with box 90. Alright, we pick up where we left off with JLA Destiny. It's a miniseries, prestige format, kind of focuses on a fight with Dr. Destiny, the dream-powered villain that runs through 4 issues. There, he's got the, looks like he's got the thing that from, oh shoot, what's it called? From the man who has everything, the plant, the mercy that makes you, puts you into a dream land. So it's interesting to tie all that together. Along the way, JLA had some 80-page giants with just various 3 or 4 stories per issue. We've got issue 1 right there, Kevin Maguire cover, through issue 3. Yeah, 3. I think this is the one where we meet Moon Girl, and she, like I say, she dies as part of the crisis, the post-crisis crisis. There you go. We've got so hey, shoot, it's hard to read. So we've got Haven Anathema. So this is this started in the Justice League, the JLA series, and this was a one-shot kind of leading into this Haven series, JLA Haven. That's Anathema. That's how that works. And it was about some aliens that fall to Earth, and they're not really superheroes, but they don't know what to do with themselves, that kind of thing. It's been a long time since I read that. But they had 2 one-shots relating to that. It was, I guess the first one technically was Arrival. Ariel Olivetti doing art on these. I guess there wasn't anything in the actual JLA series. I'm misremembering that. JLA Hitman, so the hero, the character that had gotten powers in the Bloodlines and had his own series for a while, teams up with the JLA for a bit. Garth Ennis, John McCrae, issue 1 through issue 2 of that. There were a ton of JLA one-shot. I mean, it was the hot thing there for, during that time. JLA Incarnations, John Ostrander, writing some various stories that take place during various points in post-crisis Justice League, DC Universe history. Issue 1 there through issue 7 right there. I think we were back to, if Wonder Woman's there, I think we were, is this post Infinite Crisis? I think it might have been for her to be back in the origin there. Got JLA in Crisis, Secret Files and Origins, another kind of just anthology of different series. This one kind of giving some various stories that tie into the various big events that had happened at DC over time, or over the last few years. Got JLA-JSA, Secret Files and Origins. Kind of just a combo book of similar background stories and things. Got JLA, Our Worlds at War. Big crossover with an alien invasion. All the heroes have to band together, fight it off. People die. The whole thing. JLA Paradise Lost. So this focuses on Zariel, character that Grant Morrison had brought into the JLA. He was originally going to be kind of a Hawkman replacement, but they wound up keeping him as an angel. So a bit of tying into that. Issue 1, more Ariel Olivetti art through issue 3. There. Got just some plain JLA Secret Files and Origins right there. All these Secret Files and Origins, they had, or several of them, had these timelines in them, and I was very excited about it because I really liked the idea of knowing how things had supposedly happened post-crisis. But then I eventually realized that, and how long it had been, because each one would be like 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. But then I realized after a while that they didn't match. So one book would say something happened 5 years ago, another book would say something happened 7 years ago, and it was just, So each one was just to be taken on its own. But that's issue 1 of that. Issue from the 2004 JLA Secret Files and Origins. JLA Secret Society of Superheroes. This is an Elseworlds series. I don't remember the premise of this one. I think the superheroes had to operate in secret. That was what it was. I can't remember why, but they couldn't just be out there. They had to operate behind secretly. Issue 1 through issue 2. There. Whoop. Got JLA Showcase, 80-page giant. So another 80-page giant. Not sure what the showcase purpose of that was, but I think just to make sure that there was a book with showcase on it, so that nobody could stop their showcase trademark. Got JLA Titans. During the period of time when both were around, they had a skirmish, as it were, and I think this is again one of those, you got a lot of people together. Devin Grayson writing, Phil Jimenez, the spiritual child of George Perez, drawing, and you got, I think, everybody who's ever been a Titan versus everybody who's ever been a Justice Leaguer in here, something like that. Issue 1 through issue 3 on that. JLA Tomorrow Woman. So Girl Frenzy was a line of one-shots. They did like 5 or 6 of them 1 week, I think, that focused on female characters, and the Tomorrow Woman character. This one dealt with her a little more deeply. We've got JLA versus Predator, of course. Back then, because Dark Horse's Predator series had really taken off, and then they were starting to do crossovers, which we're starting to see now again, weirdly. But they did it. They were doing it back in the aughts. There. JLA, welcome to the working week. So this is a book actually written by Patton Oswalt, who is a comedian and actor. Been seen in a lot of things. Famous, very much a nerd guy, and he wrote an issue of JLA about some guy who comes in, and I think he's like wins a contest or something to spend the day with the Justice League, something like that. We've got JLA Wildcats. So before the Wildstorm characters belonged to DC, they had a crossover with Image, who owned the Wildcats. So, and of course we got Grant Morrison coming back to do that crossover. There. Got JLA Witchblade. For those Top Cow, the Witchblade storyline, character, and whatnot. Len Kaminsky doing the writing. And JLA World Without Grown-Ups, miniseries in which launches I believe the Young Justice series. Basically, the whole world, everybody over X age disappears, and that includes the Justice League. So the younger heroes have to band together to figure out what's going on. Issue 1 and 2 there. Got JLA Year 1. So this is taking place in that sort of post-crisis world, which I think they're sticking with, that there was a period of time where the Justice League really just consisted of Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Black Canary, Flash, and Aquaman, with the others kind of joining later. But which at the time that there had been some mandate that Superman and Batman weren't really members of the front start, which I've never really understood where that came from. And then Wonder Woman had her whole history mucked about with, where she didn't leave the island until much later. So this was an attempt to kind of tell a story that takes place during that period of time. Mark Waid, Brian Augustin, Barry Kitson on art. And this has been confirmed as still being part of current history as per the new history of the DC universe. So there you go. Issue 8 right there. Issue 9. And it ends with issue 12, which is pretty. It kind of shows all the heroes who are around at the time. Of course, they have the Justice Society, and which is kind of weird, because then that kind of dispels all those future stories that take them all out of continuity, where these people returned from being somewhere else. But anyway, 12 there. And then we finish up with JLA-JSA, which is just another kind of who's who encyclopedia of characters, all of whom are heroes or villains in relating to the Justice League, which is a pretty big list. So we have issue 1, Amazo to Green Arrow, and through issue 3, Martian Manhunter to Zatanna. There. I liked this one. You know, back in the day, I mean, I was all about like the really detailed official handbook of the Marvel Universe, but as I grow older, I like something like this, because this is just basically a picture and really just a brief description, you know, 3 or 4 paragraphs, and really, that's all you need. That's all I need. Maybe that's it. Okay. So then we get to a couple of amalgam books where the Marvel and DC heroes are merged. So this is a kind of a combination of just JLA and X-Men. So you've got, like, you know, Cyclops and the Ray being merged, and Submariner and Aquaman, kind of, you know, and Polaris and, Fire rather, and Phoenix and things like that. Night Creeper, Nightcrawler and the Creeper. And then they had a follow-up with Amazon, which is a cross between Storm and Wonder Woman, and that Havoc looks a lot more like the Ray as well. So there you go. Then we've got John Byrne's Next Men. So this is, believe it or not a Marvel or DC book. It's a series about some genetically engineered creatures who escape and go to try to find their way out and find a place to be and live and be happy. By John. This is something written and drawn by John Byrne. I got issue 0 here. Then this is, we get to the actual issue 1. I think this had appeared, I think the stuff in the 0 issue had appeared in a previous magazine, Dark Horse Presents type of thing. And then, then they reprinted that over in the 0 issue. So this was the actual issue number 1. There. Got that through issue 8. Our heroes trying to figure out where they came from, that kind of thing. And then then issue 9. Discovering sexuality. There. Through issue 12. And then there were some trade paperbacks. So I went ahead and got those instead of trying to get the rest of the issues. This one, so this is book 3 of that. I think they actually took on superheroic costumes for a while and tried that out. And there's book 4. They're trying to figure out if they have souls, things like that. Pretty good series. Oops. Alright, so then we have John Carter, Warlord of Mars. And I have this because even though it's not, I can't find a signature, according to Grand Comics database, this is a George Perez cover. I'm not even sure. It looks like a George Perez cover, but it would have been a very early George Perez cover, so it is possible. And there is a lot of debris there, so, you know, that's highly possible. There's 3 or 4 issues of this series with George Perez art in them, and I'm still kind of working on getting the rest of those. Got John Stewart, Emerald Knight. So not too old as of this recording. Kind of an exploration of John Stewart getting his powers, kind of his connection to the Green Lantern power reevaluated and reconfigured there. Then we get to Joker. So this is a Dollar Comics reprint of Joker #1 from the 1970s. This is from before, when this would have been from like 1975, which is before I start I try to start at 76. So, but I did get this, you know, Dollar Comic #1. Then we actually have the originals, so starting with February of 76. So we've got the Joker going up against the Royal Flush Gang. This is apparently this first appearance of this particular Ace of Spades. There. Got issue 6. Yeah. Issue 6. With the Joker going up against Sherlock Holmes. There. Issue 7. Joker getting into it with Lex Luthor. They switch senses of humor. Issue 8. Joker against the Scarecrow. There, from 76. DC Comics salutes the bicentennial. And issue 9. Joker versus Catwoman. Right there, I believe that's the last issue of that. And we've got a modern Joker series from a few years ago. James Tynion, William March. Some backups of Punchline. I think the Joker goes off to some other country and hangs out or something. I can't remember what the story was here. Issue 1 through issue 4. Oh yeah, this is a series where they introduce like the female Bane. Her name is Vengeance. There. Issue 5. There. Issue 8. So there she is. That's the female Bane. Issue 9. Oh yeah, Jim Gordon, he's not commissioner anymore, and so somebody hires him to basically hire him to go find and kill the Joker, and he takes the job. He's not really planning on killing him, but he does take the job to track him down. So we're actually really following Jim Gordon here, I believe, more than the Joker. Issue 9. Issue 12. Right there. This is, by the way, not to be confused with the Brian Azzarello graphic novel Joker. Just to be clear, this is after that. Issue 12. I don't remember what was going on in the Punchline story. Issue 13. There. Through issue 15. It's the last issue of that. So for the annual. There. Joker Annual 2021. Got Joker and Daffy Duck. So part of the Looney Tunes crossover one-shots. Each, I think this is accurate to say, each one had a story where the Looney Tunes character was drawn more realistically, along with the thing, and then it had with the DC character, and then it had a second story where they were both drawn in the Looney Tunes style. There. Got Joker 80th anniversary issue, 100-page book there. Wonder what he's been doing with that crowbar. We got Joker Year of the Villain, which is actually, this is, okay, wait, okay, well, I got a little something a little out of order. Joker Year of the Villain, issue 1, there. One shot. Then, what should have been before that, Joker Last Laugh. So this is a mini-series. Joker finds out he's dying, and he starts going around basically Jokerizing lots of other people in the DC universe, and so a lot of the series had an issue tying in, and he would, and one of the characters would get affected with the Joker venom temporarily. It's issue 1 of that. Brian Bolland, of course, who did the Killing Joke, doing the cover on that, as well as the last issue. There. I don't think he did all of them in between, but that should be year should be after last. There. And then there was a Secret Files and Origins that went on while that miniseries was going on. So some extra content for the Joker Last Laugh storyline. Joker versus Mask. So this is the character that started in comics, but of course had a successful movie starring Jim Carrey, and the comics version winds up teaming up with the Joker, and the Joker gets his hands on the mask itself for a bit. So we got some Harley Quinn in there. Issue 1 through issue 4, right there. Alright, now I do not have a ton. Getting into Jonah Hex. I don't have a ton of Jonah Hex. I've just got a few issues. I've got this one. Jonah Hex 13. There. Fairly early issue. And I've got Jonah Hex 92, the final issue of Jonah Hex. There. This, of course, theoretically leads into the Hex series where Jonah Hex gets thrown into the future. Or there's also, I don't have it. I don't remember where. I remember reading this when I was a kid, a storyline where Jonah Hex was actually stuffed, like taxidermied and on display. And I don't remember where I read that. I don't have that, whatever issue that book that was. It must have belonged to somebody else. But that's another history, potential future of Jonah Hex. In terms of series, though, we've got the reprint of the Jonah Hex #1, the next series that was done by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray. And I know, and this was a very successful series, very popular, I think. I just didn't have a lot of it, but I am going to try to get some more of this. But I have this reprint of issue 1, and then that I have through issue 4. That Howard Chaykin art on that. And then I have issue 5. I guess that could have been in that pack. Bonus. You got to see 2 issues. Got to see an extra issue there. And then I kind of jumped to 37. Just dollar box. Getting things when I find them. Right there. Surrounded by, for a fugly guy. He has a lot of good looking ladies around him. So then in between though, before that series, there was a trio of miniseries featuring Jonah Hex, and they kind of had some they were kind of very gritty, ugly, dirty, bloody, X-rated, and one of them was Jonah Hex, Riders of the Worm and such. That also had supernatural elements, and this is a bit more of, this is the stuff that at least led to the Jonah Hex movie with Josh Brolin. But and it's Vertigo, so you know that's it's gonna have that kind of tone. But so that's issue 1 of that through issue 5. There. 5. Jonah Hex Shadows West, issue 1 through issue 3. And then the first of those, the first to be published of those, was Jonah Hex Two Gun Mojo, which is why this is a bit more of a big boy book. Issue 1 there. Issue 2 there through issue 5. There you go. Somewhere along the way, we have Jonah Hex and Yosemite Sam. Again, another DC Looney Tunes team up. We got Foghorn Leghorn getting in on the action as well. Sweet. Mark Teixeira. Somebody once recently told me that was the right way to say his name. All right, then we have Joneses, this was just sort of stuck in my box, as it were. This AWA company, I got several books from them, from Discount Comic Book Service for free. I guess just trying them out and stuff, and it was all right. I think it's like a whole family of superheroes, but that's all I kind of remember on that. We've got Johnny Thunder, aka Thunderbolt. So this was kind of an update of the old Johnny Thunder concept from the 1940s. In the 1940s, Johnny Thunder was a guy who kind of bumbled around, but he would accidentally say a magic word and summon a genie that could help out, and so and that's what would resolve the situation. And so then we get to the 80s, and we're trying to be a little more grown up about things. So Roy and his wife Dan Thomas and Dick Giordano create this sort of hard-boiled private eye in Los Angeles and in modern times, but she finds herself manifesting a similar genie in certain situations. So that's issue 1 through issue 4, and she will next be seen in Infinity Inc., which we actually saw that in a previous video, so check out that video. As we get further along in the videos, I get to say that more often. Look, see the previous video. John Sable, Freelance, from First Comics. Kind of a mercenary guy. Mike Grell, known for creating Warlord over at DC. This guy had his own TV show for a while. He's a freelance. Well, what is that? He's a mercenary. And he his sort of has a secret life, a secret identity as a children's book writer. But when he's not doing that, he's out doing mercenary work. And he's a good guy, you know. He's not just killing anybody randomly. But that's issue 1 of that. I don't have a full run of this or anything. So if you're not a John Sable fan, don't worry about it. Issue 2, right there. But I don't have enough issues in a row to make a pack, so we did see a few more of them. Issue 9, there. Just a little pack. Issue 29 through 31. Issue 40. 42. 44. Why do I just have even numbered issues? There. Little beefcake for you there. There you go, beefcake. Beefcake. And 45. There. So then we get to Journey into Mystery. Now again, I'm not really a Silver Age guy, so I don't have, way back Journey into Mystery. So for what I have, so there's this -1 flashback issue for Journey into Mystery, Loki, Warriors 3, that kind of thing. There, taking place way in the past. And then they took the numbering, I'm trying to make sure I say this right. They took the numbering of the Thor series when it got canceled, and then because Thor had picked up the numbering from Journey into Mystery, so the original series. So then Journey into Mystery picked back up the numbering from Thor, because this is 503. I think this is right. And this is about how the Asgardian gods have arrived on Earth, or been stuck on Earth, and they've forgotten who they are, and they're trapped in the bodies of mortals and some things like that. So that's the lost gods in 503 through and 504. I need to stick another little board in there to make sure that we don't forget. Nobody ever doesn't realize that there's two books in there. 505, Lost Gods, through 512, going up against, I forget his name. It's one of the Egyptian guys, maybe? Anyway, 512. Or is that Tier? Maybe Tier. I think so. That's the conclusion of the Lost Gods, and then they did some other. It became kind of an anthology book with different features in it. There was a Shang-Chi run, I believe. I think there was a Black Widow. It's kind of like all up in the middle here, but it ends with this Hannibal King vampire detective feature for 1 or 2 issues, written by Marv Wolfman. Funny, Wolfman. Anyway, then years later, something similar happened. A Thor series diverged, and at 622 became Journey into Mystery again, with a focus on Kid Loki. There, part of the Fear Itself crossover that was going on at the time. 622 through 628. There. $629 there. Through 632. More Kid Loki. $633. Son of Satan involved. $640. I don't remember what all this. I think this was the little girl that was like that Kid Loki was in love with. $641. She was the handmaiden or something of Hela, goddess of death. So he couldn't just, declare his love, because then, he would be indebted to Hela or whatever, politics. And 645. There, the end of the Loki storyline there. Then we pick up on... Oh, great. Yeah, pick up on a storyline featuring the Lady Sif, who is, of course, the female warrior, friend and sometimes paramour of Thor. Stewart Amonin Valerishiti, 646. And she is teaming up with Beta Ray Bill. So Beta Ray Bill is an alien. He's the last surviving alien of a species, and he picks up the hammer because he's worthy, and he becomes like a Thor. And then so Odin gives him his own hammer so he can switch back and forth. And so he kind of is, this is how he looks when he's in his Thor form. And there's always been this will they, won't they. There's this affection between them, which is kind of funny. There's in 653. But how does that work? He has a horse face. Quote from somebody in the Marvel offices about how they could ever have a relationship. And 653. And that ends in 655. Then we have a True Believers reprint of this Star Wars book, Journey to Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So I think this True Believers one has a slightly different title to it than what it's reprinting, but Journey to Star Wars is technically the name of this True Believers reprint right here. I don't have a lot of Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but it's just there's too many Star Wars books. I just can't do it. And I think in my intro I said that we would end on Journey, and I read my notes wrong, because we actually get into JSA. So JSA came out a couple of years after JLA, and it brings back the Justice Society of America, and it uses all of the surviving members and legacy members and things like that. James Robinson starting off writing it. It was a great series. That's JSA 1. Got issue 4. You got the team. Got Dr. Fate versus Mordru, who Mordru is actually a Legion villain in the future. So, but it's like, well, he was old in the future, so therefore they're saying, well, if he was old in the future, then he could have been around in the present. So they introduce him for the first time as a younger man in the present as a villain. That's issue 4. Got issue 5. So this is Sandy Sanderson Hawkins, the sidekick or former sidekick to the 1940s hero, the Sandman. And so Sandman started off with kind of wearing the gas mask and the shooting with the gun that shot the gas that put people to sleep. And then he decided to become, because DC made him this way, decided to become more like a regular superhero with a purple and yellow costume. And he started using a gun that shot a wire, kind of like Batman does all the time, but this was like a big deal for him, called, funnily enough, his Wirepoon. But anyway, Sandy, they had a storyline where Sandy, kind of a whatever happened to Sandy kind of thing, because they just quit publishing Sandman at some point. We never found out what happened to Sandy. He got turned into a big kind of silicon-based critter and frozen or something. So then they were able to, when they changed him back, he was just an adult. His aging had slowed, and so he became the new, not the new Sandman. I think he's still going by it goes by Sand. That's right. Because they didn't want to call him Sandman because of the whole Neil Gaiman Sandman. But and so he's kind of he's got his he still wears his the gas mask, but and I think he may use gas in his weaponry, but he was more of a kind of a military kind of guy. But anyway, that's what we're seeing here is some things go wrong with poor Sandy. So issue 5. Oh wait. Oh. Then we have issue 8 with Peter Cross is the 3rd Dr. Midnight. He had his own miniseries, and he sorry, I missed one, but it's not a big deal. We're just gonna skip it anyway. And then but since he was the new Dr. Midnight, he gets brought into this series here, Doctor, and he is another blind doctor who figures out that he can operate in darkness. So there you go. And issue 9 continues. This was all about darkness in various ways. And of course we have Obsidian, the son of Green Lantern, who can turn into darkness, a dark creature, and emit darkness, things like that. And then we have a new Injustice Society coming in. We got some Black Adam action, the Ikol, something Hornet, I think, Count Vertigo. So variety of classic villains and some new ones for the Justice Society. Because Shazam had joined up, I think, at some point, which is why Black Adam becomes one of their villains. And so it's some good stuff. But there you go. That is that's where we're leaving off for this box. Okay, so that was box 90. That actually puts us halfway through to the finished full collection of 180 boxes. I'll have a couple of other things to do after that. But thank you so much for being here. Next time we'll do box 91. We'll finish up with JSA and get into some more where justice is actually spelled out. So it's going to be a good time. Please like and comment and let me know how it's going. And also please subscribe. That just gives me a warm feeling when that happens. So thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.